In today's video, we're going to be talking about the early reveals from Magic the Gathering Foundations, and there is a lot of them, so let's jump into the video. What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for being here. Be sure to hit the like button if you do enjoy the video, and subscribe to the channel to be updated when new videos are posted. Of course, you can click that bell icon if you want to be notified as well. Yes, we are talking Foundations today, and there were a lot of reveals for Magic the Gathering over the coming year today, including Foundations, which we'll talk a lot about, as well as some huge other announcements, including big changes to Standard with Universes Beyond, and some of the upcoming sets, as well as MSRP coming back. So these are all going to be video topics for the next couple of days. There will probably be days where I upload multiple videos to be able to touch on everything, but today we are going to talk about Foundations. Now, there are a lot of things that they put up here. New borderless cards, of course. We'll talk about NIV Misit in a minute. He's new. Borderless cards will, of course, be in both. There are some mana foils. They are all borderless rare, and mythic rares also have mana foil versions where the overlay of the card has all 5 mana symbols. Kind of hard to see what that looks like there, but I think this is a pretty good example. It looks really, really neat, actually. Japan Showcase cards are back. Think Twice, I believe, is a brand new card. Well, I have a bunch pulled up here we're going to look at. Special guests for Foundations will be here. These will, of course, not be standard legal unless they already are, but they will be there. And that's the actual set code. So just to give you guys an idea of some of those different styles, let's talk about what the actual cards do. Alright, so we got a mix of reprints and new cards. Day of Judgment is a card that has been printed many times. Perhaps some of you are familiar with it. It's essentially a Wrath of God that's not quite as good because it doesn't stop regeneration. But for Standard, this is going to be a really, really good card. I don't think it's been legal in Standard since, I don't even know when Explorers of Ixalan came out, but that feels like that might have been an online-only set, possibly. So we'll say at least 2012. It's been a long time since this card has been legal in Standard either way. It's a very good board wipe. It's, not the best card in Commander because it's outclassed, but it's going to be very good, of course, in Standard as an option that costs less than Sunfall and a lot of other cards that do that. This artwork here is incredible. The Japanese Showcase style, and these, I believe, will have fractured foil treatments as well. I don't know if they've actually gotten any of those up yet, but just a beautiful card that, while a reprint, is definitely going to have a lot of impact in Standard. We've got Crystal Barricade, which is brand new. It's a rare. It's 1 and a white defender. You have hexproof. Prevent all non-combat damage will be dealt to other creatures you control. Extremely good card against mono red in Standard for sure, as they deal a lot of damage with a lot of low cost cards. But in general, I actually think this is pretty damn good for a wall card, and I think it offers a lot to, combat, at least as a sideboard option. Obviously, we don't know exactly what Standard is going to look like when, while this card is out. Foundations is going to be out for quite a while. But as a whole, I think this is a pretty good card, honestly. And I know it's a wall, but it does offer you a lot of protection if you're playing against decks that just want to deal a lot of damage and kind of ping your stuff off the board. Next up, we've got Shandra, Flame Shaper. This is a brand new Shandra, and it's pretty good. It is 5 and 2 red, and it is a Planeswalker that says +2, add 3 red mana. Exile the top 3 cards of your library, then choose one. You may play it this turn. You can +1 it to create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it has haste, and then sack it at the beginning of the end step. And you can -4 to deal 8 damage divided as you choose among any number of creatures and or planeswalkers. I really like this. It does feel a little costly for Standard, though. I guess we'll have to wait and see whether or not there's some other ways to maybe ramp into it. But it's not bad. It has a lot of utility. Being able to basically have a Kiki Jiki on command that can copy your stuff is good. I'm sure there will be decks that want to use this. I just, off the top of my head, don't know how much of an actual Standard impact it's going to have. Bloodthirsty Conqueror, just another really extreme artwork here, super cool. 3 and 2 black creature, Vampire Knight with flying and death touch. Whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. Obviously, this is going to have some synergy with the Exquisite Blood type cards where, it says whenever you gain life, opponent loses life. That's an FTK. There's a lot of cards that already have this effect printed. Generally speaking, it's just, not on a body with flying and death touch. It's a 5/5. It is a 5-drop, but I think it's probably going to be pretty good, all things considered. And if you're curious what the regular kind of Standard artwork looks like, I like this a lot as well. Just a cool card in general. Archmage of Runes is new, and it's 3 and 2 blue creature, Giant Wizard. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, draw a card. Pretty good, not a crazy effect for blue, but not terrible either. The draw recursion is nice, very much like an Archmage Emeritus kind of way, but I think Emeritus costs one less. And just reducing the cost of the instant sorceries is not bad. Giant and Wizard, so it'll have some typing cards that'll work with it directly, so not bad overall. He does have a couple other, alternate versions too, just kind of you see his regular art, and then there's a borderless. I like it overall, not a bad card. Just kind of a cool inclusion. Arabo, the First Fang, is 2 and a white, legendary creature, cat avatar, gives all your other cats +1/+1, and whenever it or another non-token cat enters, you create a 1/1 white cat creature token. This, thank gosh it's a legendary, because it'd be really, really strong if you could just keep bringing these out, buffing everything up, and then spamming the board with cats, but it's going to be very, very good for cat decks. People will absolutely want to utilize this, and it is a pretty good rare. Mossborne Hydra, 2 and a green, elemental Hydra with trample. It enters with 1 +1/+1 counter on it, and has landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, double the number of +1/+1 counters on this creature. I love this card, and I love its design. I think it's so good. Obviously, landfall is one of my favorite mechanics, and with Hydras being so easy to bring out, you can really start to ramp this up pretty quick. I mean, if you have a fetch land out, you can just double twice. Obviously, combining this with other cards like Bristly Bill to really layer up the counters on it and then get a ton of resources is a really good option. I like this card a lot. I'm not saying it's broken or anything, but it feels very, very good. Llanowar Elves we know is coming back, but people are going to go crazy for this this artwork here. I can't complain. It's really one of the coolest Japanese arts I've seen in quite some time, and if you're curious, the regular one is just, I believe, the regular art. So you're looking at a very fancy mythic art upgrade. I do think this card is going to command a very, very high price point. Obviously, you will be able to get Llanowar Elves just, itself, so you'll have that, and there's a billion different versions of it you can play. But, yeah, this one's going to be big. This is going to be a big value card, especially in the Fractured Foil. No doubt about it. Kato Cunning Infiltrator is new, and it's 1 and 2 blue legendary planeswalker. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a loyalty counter on it. You can +1 it to have it so up to 1 target creature you control can't be blocked. Then you draw and discard. You can -2 to create a 2/1 blue ninja, or -9 to get an emblem that says whenever a player casts a spell, you create a 2/1 blue ninja creature token. Now, obviously, 9 is going to be hard to get to, but if you have a lot of creatures out that can start to deal damage, you can stack those loyalty counters up and perhaps use it sooner rather than later. It's actually one of my favorite Katos, I think, that's come out probably in the past year or two in terms of a new card. I think it's better than the Duskmourn one for sure. And I'm pretty happy to see some more Planeswalkers getting some love here. Herald of Eternal Dawn is 4 and 3 white creature angel with flash and flying. Says you can't lose the game and your opponents can't win the game. This card is going to be really good for Kaalia and Commander, and perhaps even in Modern. I mean, Platinum Angel exists, but Platinum Angel is an artifact, which means things that remove artifacts can get rid of that. This, in some cases, is objectively going to be easier to bring out, and then not be as susceptible to removal because it does have flash. But there will be situations where I think Platinum Angel is probably better. It does have another pretty cool alternate art borderless version that looks nice, but I think they really did kind of crush it with the Japanese showcase styles. Either way, decent card. Again, I don't know how frequently you're bringing this out as a 7-drop in Standard, but maybe they have some plans moving forward to kind of adjust that Standard ramping. Who knows? Reprint of Harmless Offering card was in Eldritch Moon. Not bad. It's very much a funny card. You can do some silly things with it, so it's always nice to see cards like that being integrated in. I'm sure it has some type of application where you can have a creature out that is actively detriment to you, give it to your opponent, and then they can have to suffer those consequences. So pretty cool. Zulashur Licklord is 1 and a black legendary creature zombie warlock with ward paid 2 life. You can tap it to cast target zombie creature card from your graveyard this turn. I like everything about this. It's really strong. It's very inexpensive to play, and being able to get your zombies back, obviously you still have to cast them for their cost, but this is solid recursion, and it's low enough cost with that added benefit of ward that I think it will see some play. Twin Flame Tyrant, just amazing artwork here. Craziness what that is. It is a 3 red flying with if a source you control would deal damage to an opponent or permanent they control, deal double that damage instead. I swear red gets these kind of effects all the time, but it's really powerful on this creature, I think. Especially because it does not care how that damage is dealt, so it will deal all double combat damage, double effect damage, and as we know, red plays a lot of stuff like that. Imagine mono red if they can even get one of these out. I know it costs 5 mana, so it's not super likely to happen all the time, but it's absolutely an option, and it's just a really good card. Tiny Bones is back. He's 1 and a black legendary creature, Skeleton Rogue. Whenever an opponent discards a card, exile it from their graveyard with a stash counter on it. During your turn, you may play cards you don't own with stash counters on them from exile, and mana of any type can be spent to cast those spells. You can pay 3 and a black and tap it. Each opponent discards a card. Activate only as a sorcery. Not the best Tiny Bones, but also not bad. Obviously, being able to exile stuff, you make your opponent discard. Sadly, it does give mono black discards some more tools to play with, which is just fucking awesome, even though I despise that deck with every bit of passion, especially in Standard. But hey, people are going to like this card, and it does have some pretty cool art, so I'll give it props on that. Think Twice is not new, but it is reprinted here, and it's just another card that gives us some draw with flashback application, but it does have a premium art version. Actually, it's 2 premium art versions, so that's kind of cool. Sears Laser Goblin is new. It's 1 and a red with Goblin Warrior with Raid. At the beginning of your end step, if you attack this turn, create a 1/1 red Goblin creature token. Pretty standard. Kind of wish it had haste, but I guess it would be maybe too good if it did. Although, I don't know. Goblins don't have a ton going for them in Standard, so I don't think haste would have made this broken. But I guess if you have multiple copies and you can start to kind of spam it, maybe it gets to be too oppressive. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know what you guys think. Progenitus is back and feels very, very costly for Standard. I don't know. Are you reanimating this maybe? It's not even possible to reanimate it because it gets shuffled back into the deck. So, I don't know. Cool card. Not sure how you plan on getting this out, though. Phyrexian Arena's back, and it is going to be Standard legal, as well as just a sick new artwork here. Obviously a card that we'll see play. It was in Phyrexia, all will be 1, and I think it was printed in the set, so it's really just extending its stay here. This card is good, but it's not crazy or anything. And then the new NIV Misit is 4 blue, red, legendary creature, dragon, wizard with flying. You have no maximum hand size. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, you draw that many cards. This card's crazy, guys. If you're playing any red spells that just deal damage, like you draw cards every time that happens, super strong card. And it's with the no maximum hand size as well, drawing things, getting extra resources in hand, which obviously blue can do a lot of. This is going to be a super popular commander, and may even more in its own video down the road. I'm not really sure, but I think this may be the strongest card here. Just so many really good options for Izzet with that layout as a whole. So that's gonna do it for this video. I went through these kind of quick, and I'm sorry, but there's so many cards, and there's just, I didn't want the video to drag on forever. Obviously, some of the comments and stuff were spoiled as well. You can check those out on Wizard's actual site, the collections. But let me know what you guys think of the Foundation spoilers so far. Stay tuned, because there is a lot of content to talk about over the next couple of days, and we're gonna get to all of it. So I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.